I did a DNA test and I found out that I'm a high percentage Nigerian. And I was like, whoa, you're my cousin then. Hey, cuz. Hey, hi, neighbor. Hi, welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things passion, purpose, photography. And if you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. My name is Swat. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I'm a photographer, an all-round enthusiast of all things creativity. And you've seen my face before. I'm glad you stopped by again to hear me talk about another new topic today. So, without further ado, let's get to the to-do. It is Black History Month here in the US. It's always in the month of February, and I feel honored that it's in the month of February because my birthday is also in February. I actually celebrated my birthday last Saturday. I turned 48. Yeah, getting there. Before you know it, I'll be 55. Oh, but right now I'm still 48, and I feel honored to share my birth month with Black History Month. And when I thought about this month and what I wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk about the history of the African Americans and all they have done for this nation, their contributions, their amazing character, how amazing of a people they are. And then I actually took a pause and I decided, you know what? No, I'm going to put a pause on talking about everything that African Americans have done for the US and for the world in general. Because you know what? Sometimes when there's an issue and there's an underlying problem within a community or a family, maybe you need to say, okay, right now we're not going to celebrate. We're going to take some time and we're going to talk about what ails us. So I'm going to take a pause on any celebration, any, talking about what contributions African Americans have done to the world. And I want to talk about the feud or the little bit of animosity between Africans and African Americans. You know, Jesus said on his Sermon on the Mount that blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. And to me, everything I do, it's very important for me to honor God and to please him. And that is the same for this YouTube channel. I want whatever to do to bring joy, to be a blessing, and to bring positivity into the lives of people. So I am trying and I'm going to endeavor today to just maybe sow a little seed, a mustard seed of peace between our people, the Africans and the African Americans. Okay, if that sounds good to you, please hang on and stay with me and give me a listen, and let's see where we go from here. So a very horrible and terrible thing happened to the continent of Africa. You know, the Europeans, we all know the story, we all know the history. I'm not going to bore you with it, but I just want to touch base. The Europeans, in their, forging ahead with capitalism and endeavors with industry and trade, decided that they needed manpower. They needed labor. If they couldn't get free labor, it would be cheap. But I think they decided we will find a way to even get free labor. And how are we going to do that? Well, there's this land mass, and the people there, they look like hardy people. They look like they can handle being in the sun for a long time. They look like they're very strong. So we're just going to hop into our ships and our boats and just row over there and see how we can get these people. So Europeans went over to the landmass that they now call Africa, and they stole, kidnapped, and took a lot of our people. Yes, some of our people sold their own brothers and sisters. Let the truth be told, we can't hide from it. I will not hide from it. Let's speak facts. Some of our own sold their own, and they were brought over and dropped in different areas of the world. Some were dropped in the Caribbean, some were dropped over in, areas of South America, and a lot of them were brought to the US, the land that is now called the United States of America. And while this was going on, while the enslavement of the African people was happening in this area of the world, another thing called colonization was happening on the land called Africa. Now, it was very, very calculated, and it was done in such an amazing way that, a group of people grabbed and taken and forced into labor and all of that. I think it was really, really devious, and it was really smart, I have to say. I wish I could just go back in time and just be a fly on the wall and see the mental, gymnastics, the mad psychological warfare that went on, that was able to make Africans just, go, I know there was a lot of taken by force, but the ones that agreed to sell their brothers and sisters for what? I heard things like gin, like mirrors. Come on, people. It gets my goat every time I hear it. But yeah, that's what happened. For our people who are back on the continent, it looked like they were living their lives free. Yeah, they could go here and there, continuing with their business, working on their farms, living with their families, so they seemed free. But you know what I've said to people several times? I've said that yes, slavery was evil, it was horrible, it was demonic, but it was in your face. You could see that we don't like you, we don't consider you to be human, you're just going to work. You're as good as cattle, you're as good as farm animals. Colonization was insidious, man. That was the real psychological warfare, because Africans thought they were free, but their minds were enslaved. And so I feel like colonization was even worse. I am not downplaying what happened in slavery. Please bear with me. But I feel like colonization was horrible, because it's one thing to know that you are captured and you are imprisoned and you can't move and do anything of your own free will. It's clear. And it's another thing to think, I'm moving around freely, I'm my own person. Meanwhile, you are really a slave. The truth is, Africans, we lived in the Lulu land because we thought we were okay. Now, the animosity between Africans and African Americans, I really don't know how it started. I don't know where it began. All I know that it's been happening for a long time. Now, let me say this. Growing up, watching shows from all over the world in Nigeria, I can attest. I think I can speak for all Africans. I don't like to do that. I like to speak only for Nigerians because those are the people I know. But I think I can speak for all Africans when I say that we were in awe of African Americans. We're in awe of Black Americans. They were cool. They are hip. Their fashion, the music. African Americans are trendsetters. They set the pace. They do a thing and the whole world copies. They create a dance and the whole world copies. They run, they jump, they create, and the whole world wants to be like African Americans. So Africans, we weren't any different, because to us it was like African Americans were our heroes. We saw our brothers and sisters doing the thing, being awesome, being hype, being cool, and we wanted to be like them. Come on, all of us even tried to speak Ebonics because we thought it was cool, wanted to dress like our African American brothers. And I know for me, I used to daydream about coming to the United States and living here. And honestly, one of the first things I wanted to do was immerse myself in the African American community, because in my head, I'm a bit of a dreamer, and a romantic. I would say to myself, oh, I'll come to the United States of America. I'll come and live here, and I will reunite with my brothers and sisters who were taken away from us over 400 years ago. And it will be like a family reunion. We will talk, we will get to know each other, and they would learn about our culture, and I would learn even more because I know about their culture some from watching movies, watching shows, reading magazines. I remember I would pore over Ebony magazine, Jet magazine, and just be staring at these beautiful Black people, because these were people who looked like me, and I just wanted to be like them. So I was really looking forward to moving to the United States, living here, and meeting my brothers and sisters. This didn't happen to me personally, maybe because I came to the United States as a full-grown adult. I came here at the age of 37. I was already a wife, a mother. So maybe that's why I didn't have to go through some of the things that people who came here younger did. But there's so many stories of Africans coming here, and African American kids would call them booty scratcher. I think that's what they were calling them. Booty scratcher, African booty scratcher, yes, and make fun of their accent. And I know that my son, who is 18 now, went through that. When we came here, we were in a very Black community, and he started elementary school in that community, and of course it was full of Black kids and some Hispanic kids. And I know my son was bullied. He would come home sad. He didn't want to go back to school because kids were making fun of his Nigerian accent. They were making fun of him being an African. And I know how difficult it was for him. So my son went through that. So I would say that I did say I didn't go through it personally. I'm wrong. I went through it personally through my son. And I know a lot of Africans went through that. And the funny thing, or the strange thing is, when we were in a community that was more diverse, my son did not experience that from other races. They were welcoming, they were kind, they were understanding. And so I think I have a feeling that that is where some of the animosity began. Africans would come here, and it was their own skin folk that teased them, bullied them, and made fun of how they sounded, how they talked, and their food, unfortunately. So I believe that began to cause a rift, and maybe Africans started to fight back. Like, okay, you're not going to make fun of us, so we're not going to sit back and take it. And then I think when Africans came here, what we used to see on TV a lot, Cosby show, the artists who are big and have so much money. And then we came here and we saw there was a disparity from what the media showed us and what we saw here. And for some reason, it looked like African Americans, or the Black people in America, were the poorest, were the ones who were struggling, were the ones who were involved in crime. When I was in Nigeria, I had a friend from high school who came to the US for college. And she came back home once, to do some stuff, and she stayed with me. And we went on a walk to buy some snacks. And I asked her, all these stories we hear about African Americans being criminals, being lazy, they don't want to work, is it true? And I asked that question with fear and trepidation, because I didn't want her to say yes, because I didn't want to be disappointed. But what she said, this is how she answered. She said, yes and no. And she said, I'll explain. She said, I say yes because they can come off as if they're lazy, but this is not the case. When you've lived in a land that fights you, the system fights you, you try to go further, you try to go ahead in life, and the system drags you back. It can get tiring. You take 2 steps forward, you're dragged 5 steps backwards. You take 10 steps forward, you're dragged 20 steps backwards. And you get tired and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm tired of fighting. And if this is what you guys want, well, then we're going to do that, you know. And it made so much sense to me. And I was so relieved because I love African American people and I didn't want to be disappointed. So my empathy for them grew even bigger and larger, and I looked forward to meeting African American people more than I did before. So when I moved to the US, maybe I was a bit too excited because every time I would see an African American person, I almost said person, I couldn't wait to talk to them, to speak with them, to, you know, just talk about stuff and get to know each other. But then I noticed there was like a slight pushback, and I understood. Trust me, I was understanding because there has been a bit of mistrust or distrust between our people. So I really didn't take it to heart. And I was talking to some lady, Nigerian lady, and she was going on about Akata people. And I was like, what is Akata? And she said, oh, these African Americans. And I felt like we say in Nigeria, somebody poured cold water on me. I was so embarrassed, like I cringed. And in my head, I said to myself, how can you, a black person, an African person, use a derogatory word to people who look like you? And I was so disappointed with that. And I said to myself, that word will never, ever come out of my mouth. First of all, I hate bullies. I hate being disenfranchised. I hate being marginalized. I hate it when people are marginalized. I hate it when people are othered simply because of how they look or how they sound or where they're from. That's not for me. So anything that's going to be like that, I will not be part of it. And I decided, this is not going to be me. I'm never going to use that word. You will never hear it from me. So living in the United States for a long time, every time I would be around Nigerians and they would use that word, I would cringe. And I'm like, guys, stop using this word now. It's not cool. Stop using it. How would you like it? I mean, see how these other people treat us. And you're doing the same thing to people who look like you. Please stop it. And I told my kids, I don't ever want you to use that word. If you hear someone using it, stop them immediately. It's not right. And a few of my, friends and family who use it, I remind them all the time, please don't use that word. Please stop, And I'm happy that a few of them have actually stopped using that word. They correct themselves when they use it, and I'm happy about that. One positive experience I had was, so as a photographer, this lady hired me to take pictures of a group of women who are cancer survivors. She wanted to give them a day where it was not about being prodded and poked with needles and invasive tests. She wanted a day where they would be glammed up, dressed up, and take pictures and just remind themselves of what it was like, to dress up, what it was like before cancer came. So it was a group of 10 women of all ages, all races, and she hired this Airbnb in Houston, Texas, and we all met there with makeup artists and hairstylists, and the women came, and there was food, there was drink, there was music. We were having so much fun. So I was going around the house, setting up my backdrops and making sure my camera was in the right settings and making sure all the women were comfortable and being taken care of. Then I walked by this black lady who was getting her makeup done. And as I was walking by, I did a double take, like, huh? The makeup artist was making this woman look like she was being prepared for the morgue. Sis looked ashy. Sis looked gray. And I was like, what? Not on my watch. So I came up and I told the makeup artist, can I see what you're using? And she said, well, this is what she has. This is what she uses for her clients. She's really sorry. She doesn't have anything for... She was quite embarrassed for dark skin. And I was like, in 2015, or was it 2016? Or was it 2017? I forget, but let's say it was 2017. No, let's say it was 2016. So I was like, in 2016, come on. So I told her, please, just stop. Could you wipe off what you've done? And I ran upstairs to the bedroom and I brought up my foundation, I brought up my powder, and I brought it downstairs. And I gave it to the lady. I said, please, to the makeup artist, I said, please use this. The black lady grabbed my hand and she just went, she mouthed it. She mouthed, thank you. And I squeezed her hand and I was like, without saying a word, it was like, I've got you, sis. And after that, after I took pictures of her and then someone else was getting their makeup done and I was taking a break, we were outside and she came and she hugged me and she said, thank you so much for doing that. I didn't know how to open my mouth and speak up. I didn't want to offend anybody, but I'm so glad that you looked out for me and you saw that something was not going right and you corrected it. I was like, oh, of course, I can't let you look horrible. It will even be bad for my photos. And she said, you know what? I did a DNA test and I found out that I'm a high percentage Nigerian. And I was like, whoa! You're my cousin then. Hey, cuz! And I hugged her. And till today, we still talk. I now live in New Jersey and she's still in Houston. But we talk, we send each other messages. And every time we're on Facebook and she's responding to, she's making a comment on one of my posts, or I'm making a comment on one of her posts, we just say, hey, cuz. Good morning, beautiful cuz. How are you, cuz? Hey, cousin. I hope you're good, So that is what I wanted to see happen for Africans and African Americans. I wanted us to meet and just, bridge that gap. Something really horrible and traumatic happened to us, be it colonization or enslavement. There was a rift. We were torn apart. We were hurt. And it's going to take a long time for us to come back together. Listen, African Americans, I understand. I understand. Living here in the US, I said to someone, I don't know how you guys have done it all these years. I'm surprised this country is still standing, because the anger I feel just being here for a few years, I'm surprised you haven't burned this country down. You guys are good. Africans, what I want to say to you is, come on, people, let's get off our high horse. If it wasn't for what African Americans did in this country, you wouldn't have the freedom to come here and thrive and live, create industries, create businesses, work, make money, take care of your families. It's because of the blood and sweat of our people who were brought here by force. So we need to be compassionate. We need to have more empathy for what the African Americans have gone through in this country. What happened was demonic. Let's put it out there. It was of the devil for you to take a group of people, enslave them, make them into less human, make them believe that they're less human. The buck breaking, you need to go and learn what that was. When I learned what buck breaking was, I had to hold myself back from weeping. Rape of women, the children born out of this, it's a lot of tearing of the fabric of the psyche of a human being and a group of people. How do you come back from that? But African Americans have. Still, they rise. Still, they rose. And African Americans, I understand what you've been through, but I also say to you, be compassionate and understanding as well. And let's just forge this gap. Let's just heal each other. Listen, if we came together, listen, we will take over the world. The amazingness of our people together, there's nothing we can't do. There is nothing. I mean, look at us. Look at us where we are right now, being disenfranchised, being looked at as less than. Everywhere in the world you go, there is nowhere in the world you go that black people aren't stared at like we're animals, like we're weird. People want to touch our hair. It looks weird. People were wondering. I mean, I had a Chinese friend married to a Nigerian man, and she told me that the first time she brought him home for her people to meet him, they were asking, doesn't he take a bath? And she was like, what do you mean? Why is he so black? Doesn't he take a bath? Europe, Asia, wherever you go, Oceania, wherever you go, as long as we're not the majority, people look at us as we're weird. Come on, we've been through so much, and yet we are trailblazers. And yet we're trailblazers. Yet we still are admired. We are admired. We're so admired that people feel uncomfortable to actually say we're awesome. So they will degrade us. They will give half-hearted, compliments or backhanded compliments. Imagine what we could achieve if Africans and African Americans just put aside our differences, our rifts. You started it, well, you sold us, well, you did this, well, you called us African booty scratcher, and we said, okay, let's put our hands together and move forward. That's what Pan-Africanism was all about. Black people, Africans in the diaspora, coming together and building a wonderful reality for all of us. Listen, if we came together, Wakanda would be a reality. Ah! Can you imagine what we would do? I'm an idealist. I love to dream. I don't stop myself from dreaming, and I see a world where our people will unite and create this fantastic world. Africans, don't think you're better than African Americans, because when I listen to how we talk about white people, how we talk about people who are foreign, how we idealize lighter skin, we think lighter skin, loose straight hair is better. You are worse off than African Americans, let me tell you. When I used to live in Nigeria, in Abuja, I went to the market one time, a market called Utako Market. Excuse me, I have a bit of a cough and a cold, so sometimes my nose gets stuffy and I get choked up. Anyway, I went to the market to buy food items, and I was standing in front of this lady's table who sells fish, and it was a very busy time. And I was haggling, because you haggle in Nigeria. If they say it's $20, you try to beat it down to 15, So I was haggling with the lady, and I heard the people around me, the market people who sold their stuff, master, come to my place, master, come to my shop. And I was like, master? Who are they calling master? And I turned around and I saw this Chinese man walking in. The rage I felt. You're calling this Chinese man master. Why? Because he's light skinned? Because he's a foreigner? And you feel he is better than you? Yes, a lot of Africans feel that anyone who's white, anyone who's lighter, anyone who's mixed is better than them. And you want to tell me that you're not enslaved in your mind? So, we need to just put these things in the past We can't get over it in a day, but we can try to start right now. So to all my Black brothers and sisters, and especially my African American brothers and sisters, I say happy Black History Month, and let's keep hope alive. The revolution shall be televised. And if you stuck with me through all of this, I'm glad you did. And I hope that you will give me a subscription donation. There you click the like button and you will give a comment and you will stick with me as I talk about everything and anything that brings me joy and brings positivity to your world. And that's it for today. Till we meet again, have an amazing weekend and remember to be blackety, blackety, black.